Hi, welcome back to my channel TLCKP and welcome if you are new. I'm a disabled mum of 3 and will be posting videos on family life, being a disabled mum and bringing up a baby whilst being in a wheelchair. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel and comment below if there's any videos you would like to see from my channel. So today's video, what I will be talking about is one of the health conditions that I have, which is called gastroparesis. So I will give you a little brief read as to the official description of what gastroparesis is, and then I'll talk you through my symptoms and the journey that I've had over the last 4 years since being diagnosed with it. So according to the NHS's website, because I'm in the UK, gastroparesis is a long-term chronic condition where the stomach cannot empty in the normal way and food passes through the stomach slower than usual. It is thought to be the result of a problem with the nerves and muscles that control how the stomach empties. If the nerves are damaged, the muscles of your stomach may not work properly and the movement of food can slow down. So the symptoms that you can get, so may include, are feeling full very quickly when eating, feeling sick, nausea and vomiting, loss of appetite, weight loss, bloating, stomach pain or discomfort, and heartburn. So they can be mild to severe and they can come and go. So obviously you can get complications which include dehydration from the repeated vomiting, reflux, so where the stomach acid leaks out of your stomach into your food pipe, malnutrition, if you're vomiting you're just not getting enough nutrients into your body, and if you have gastroparesis as a symptom of diabetes, then obviously you can get unpredictable blood sugar levels. So according to the NHS, the causes of gastroparesis, although there's no obvious cause according to them, the known causes include either poorly controlled diabetes, so type 1 or type 2, and a complication of some types of surgery. There are other causes too, but all this information is on the NHS's website and I will link it down below in the description box. So for me, I believe my gastroparesis was caused when I had my gallbladder removed in 2018, which I don't regret doing because it needed doing and I was in so much pain that I couldn't cope. I couldn't go through the day without being in absolute agony. And so for me, when they told me that I had to have my gallbladder removed, it was a relief and they finally booked it in. But in the days that followed after having my gallbladder removed, unfortunately I did suffer with some sickness, which I just thought was like an after effect from the general anaesthetic, which I do suffer from. However, it didn't stop. The vomiting, the nausea, it just didn't stop. It just got worse and worse. And I went to my GP and we tried some different medications, some anti-sickness medications, which I did have some reactions to, so we kept trying others. And then he noticed that some of my levels were up in relation to my stomach problems that I have, and so decided to actually give me injection of steroids, which worked amazing for the vomiting. It actually stopped it. So I had my gallbladder surgery in May of 2018, and then I went abroad in the end of the August to Spain, and I had an injection of the steroids shortly before I went, and it was great. I wasn't sick at all whilst we were away. So after we came back from holiday at the end of August, my GP said that I couldn't have any of more of the injections of steroids, and so we started sorting out, trying to figure out like different anti-sickness medications that would help, and he recommended that I speak to the consultant at the hospital. So I spoke to my gastroenterologist who I was under at the time, and he ended up referring me to the dietitians that actually work with the gastro department, is what I call it. And that's where she told me that I had gastroparesis. I am forgetting, however, that just prior to this, that I did have it's a gastric emptying study. So basically you eat the food containing a radioactive substance, and then for me it was the porridge, because I can't have dairy, so it was just oats and water containing the radioactive substance. And then and then I had to wait for 4 hours, and then they did a scan. And basically, if, according to the NHS's website, that if more than 10% of the food is still remaining, then you're diagnosed with gastroparesis. Now, this is what happened to me. I had, I don't remember the percentage of food remaining, but I did have quite a high percentage. So anyway, so I spoke to the dietitian, and she gave me a big information sheet regarding it, gave me some tips and tricks about, rather than having 3 meals a day, have 6 meals a day, which is very difficult. Especially with, like I mentioned earlier, you feel full very quickly, so small amounts of food will fill you up quicker. I do have the occasional times where I can eat a bigger meal, and I do pay for it though, so I do end up actually paying for that later. But yes, but for me, my biggest issues are the sickness, the vomiting, the nausea, which is there all the time, and the lack of wanting to eat a great deal. Now, soft foods really help, where it's less work for your stomach, so it doesn't have to digest as much. And so with gastroparesis, like I mentioned, it takes longer to digest your food fully. And so I do remember when at the beginning and various times since that I have been sick around sort of like around lunchtime, and actually been sick my dinner from the day before, where it hasn't digested, and it comes up quite whole as well, so it hasn't digested much at all. And so sometimes it's really bad. But yeah, it's not a fun condition to have. There is a lot of issues with weight loss and sort of like dehydration and things, which I don't know officially, but I do believe I do get quite a bit of, I do get dehydrated quite often, because I get quite dizzy and just feel quite faint. And so it's a really complicated thing, because so many of the symptoms are all over the place, you know, sort of like, you know, is my weight loss recently, is that just my body kickstarting weight loss after pregnancy? I don't know. Or is it gastroparesis? I don't know. My dietitian is convinced it's gastroparesis, but I'm not sure. I have lost a bit of a portion of weight in the last 3 months. So I got ill at Christmas, and since then it just seems to have gone away quite quickly. But I'm not down to my lowest, thankfully. I'm also not down to pre-pregnancy weight, not far off of it, but I'm not there yet. I don't know whether or not I will get there. I'm not trying. I'm really not trying to lose weight. I think at the moment my body is in a position of where it's just doing what it's gonna do, and I don't think I'm in a position to actually try and lose weight, and I don't think I should either. So it's gonna do what it's gonna do, and I'm not gonna help it in any way, because I don't want to get all the way down to, you know, back when I was my lowest weight, which was around 7.5 stone. So I don't want to get back down there, because it's not healthy, and you know, but that wasn't a choice then, and this isn't a choice now. Since being in a wheelchair, my weight has always fluctuated. It's gone way up and way down to 7.5 and gone up to about 11 something as well. So yeah, I've always fluctuated with my weight. I believe that's due to just being in a wheelchair and things like this. But I mean, I mean, a lot of people with gastroparesis, they can have feeding tubes and things like this, and I have nearly gone down that route. The doctors were discussing that as the next step for me. I didn't, thankfully. You know, we did the liquid foods, and as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, my pregnancy and birth stories video, when I was pregnant with Penny, at the beginning it flared up my gastroparesis really badly, and I was on a completely liquid food diet, and I'd eat and I'd feel so much pain, awful pain in sort of like, I'd say like around where my actual stomach organ is, so just, you can't quite see, but just down here, just below my bra, should I say, just below where my bra sits. The pain there was quite a lot, and yeah, so it was really hard to eat. And then when I was around 20 weeks pregnant, I also mentioned this in that video, that I ended up in hospital with pancreatitis. I actually had a gallstone stuck, even though I didn't have a gallbladder because I had that removed in 2018. So I'm not quite sure how or why that stuck around, but it did. And I had to go into hospital via ambulance, and obviously it was October 2020, so COVID was, you know, big thing, and no visitors to the hospital and things like this. And so yeah, it was really hard actually. And obviously being 20 weeks pregnant with Penny, I was concerned about her and the fact that I couldn't eat anything while I was in hospital because the pain was just unreal. So yeah, I mean, due to the pancreatitis, I was on medications that the midwives were keeping an eye on, and I was on lots and lots and lots of fluids. They just kept pumping me full of fluids. I also had to have my blood sugar checked regularly because it can spike your blood sugar as well. I actually ended up having low blood sugar levels a couple of times, where they gave me orange juice and this little sachet tube thing. It was, I don't know, something they said would bring my blood sugar levels back up. So yeah, so it was difficult, and I survived on jelly. That's literally sugar. I think it was sugar jelly, just like a raspberry jelly, which I had for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and that was it. 2 jelly pots and a little pot of orange juice, and that was it. And that was it while I was in there. And when I came out, so after 5 days, I gradually moved up to, over a couple of weeks, I gradually moved on to soft foods, and then got a bit more, should we say, adventurous with my textures after that. But yeah, no, some chips and bananas and custard and just jelly and lots of softer things to help, just to try and ease my body back into it. I did try, as soon as I came out of hospital, I tried to eat some rice from the Chinese, and that was not a good idea. It was a terrible idea, in fact. Yeah, I had a couple of mouthfuls and yeah, regretted that very quickly. But yeah, no, I think one of the things that the NHS's website, what it doesn't mention is the mental effect it takes on you having a condition like this, where you feel like nobody really understands what you're going through. I mean, like, you know, you feel sick, but being sick, oh, the relief. It is, I feel really sick, and see, the way I explain it is I don't usually feel ill. You know, like, you know, if you're hungover or if you're just not well and you feel really ill and sick, and you're sick because of that, and you know, and you eventually get better. But this is like you feel sick all the time. So that's just, you get used to that after a little while. And you're sick every day or regularly But after you're sick, you feel so much better. It's like a weight's been lifted off your chest because you feel so good for being sick, which is really weird and sometimes pretty hard to explain and figure out in your own head. And you know, and it is difficult to stick to, you know, extremely low fiber and extremely low fat and things like this, because it is really difficult. I mean, I used to eat sort of like whole grain rice and whole grain pasta and things like this, and now I go for white rice because that's what my dietitian suggested, because she said I need to get my fiber low. I have had a dietitian's appointment recently, and like I mentioned before, she's a little bit concerned with the amount of weight I've lost since October last year, and so she is recommending some protein, nutrient rich smoothies, which she sent me out some samples for, so I can see if I can tolerate them, because I had some before and I really didn't get on well with them at all. And so I'm going to give them a go. And she also asked me to try and increase my soups and softer foods, which I remember the first time going on soft foods diet and it was awful. Everything was blended. Cereal was blended. Meatballs were blended. It was not good. It was not a good look, and it was horrible. And I tried to, you know, have chicken soup, but of course it's got to be blended. So yeah, so that was not nice. Chicken cooked and then blended is not a good texture. If anyone's got any good tips, please let me know down in the comments, because I will happily take them on board. Because I'd love to be able to eat soup again. I still can't eat soup for this day. But yeah, so I find it really difficult at the moment to, some days are harder than others, you know, like, you know, people ask me, you know, oh, you don't eat very much, and I'm like, well, no. I do try my best to eat as much as I can, as often as I can, but it is really difficult. It's like my stomach is really small. That's what it feels like. You know, I imagine feeling like somebody who's had like a gastric band surgery. That's what it literally, I feel like this is what they must feel like, you know, where you eat a small dinner and you're completely full. And yeah, the bloating is, yeah, that's on another level. My stomach is so bloated. I explained it to my dietitian the other day, like a pregnant belly upside down. So it's really bloated at the top and not so much at the bottom. Yeah, it's some days are not fun, but I try to just go, this is my life. This is just my day to day, and I just have to live my life. I can't let this hold me back and stop me from seeing friends and family and going out for dinner and things like this. And I know my limits, so I don't get a huge meal because I know I'm never going to eat it, and that'd just be a waste of money and a waste of time, so I don't. And so when I do go out somewhere, I eat light, I eat small. So if I go out for lunch with a friend, I'll eat toast because I know I can eat it, and that's it for me. And that's fine. And then I'll have dinner later, and I do try to spread out my food throughout the day. I just find that very difficult, and it's not sometimes practical. So you've got to do what works for you. And I mean, I'm always trying to figure out what makes the bloating worse, because that for me is very painful. It can be extremely painful. I know nothing really is going to help the vomiting. I know nothing really is going to help the nausea. I mean, I do have Smints in my bag all the time, so I'm constantly taking quite a few of them. I have like a few of them a day, just because not every day, but I do have a few of them usually, just because it takes the helps with the nausea, basically. I know lots of people say drink as much as you can, and I do drink as much as I can, but again, it's like liquid is the enemy of gastroparesis. Water is the enemy. You know, the more you drink, the more you'll be sick, the more you'll feel sick, and it's such a heavy feeling in my stomach and in what feels like my chest. And so yeah, so you know, it's I think with a lot of health conditions, it's not just the physical aspects, it takes a toll on the mental side of it too. And you've got to find what works for you. And after 4 years of dealing with this condition, I know that's a drop in the ocean for some people that have had it for a lot longer. And I know some people have, you know, will only be recently diagnosed. And, you know, let me know if you've ever heard about it. Put a comment down below if you've ever heard of gastroparesis. Maybe that's why you're here watching this video. But let me know if you've ever heard of it, because I'd never heard of it up until they diagnosed me. I'd never heard of it, didn't know it was a thing. And I think more people do need to know about it, because it is a condition that does affect quite a few people. I'm on groups on Facebook, and it is surprising how many people are on them. And you know, it's the same with another condition of mine. You never hear of it until you've got it, and then you're like, oh, actually there's quite a few people that have these conditions. So yeah, just give me a comment down below if you've ever heard of gastroparesis, or if there's any other videos you would like to see from me. I know this one's been a little bit different and is not in regards to being a mum, but obviously it does affect my life as a mum, but it also affects my life as a woman, as a human. And so yeah, just let me know if you've ever heard of it, and let me know anything else you would like to see from me or my channel. I will be back ASAP with part 2 of my previous video about pennies, about newborn essentials, things we found essential for a newborn. So please tune in soon for that, and I'll get that up to you as soon as possible. But thank you for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really does help. Thank you.